The last video was mostly focusing on the negatives of the Emperor's Children, so this time I wanted to switch it up. I want to show off some of the special units of the 3rd Legion because the Emperor's Children have some really unique forces that cause them to stand out when compared to other legions. So we're going to start off with the unique forces that were used during the Pre-Heresy or Great Crusade. We're going to begin with probably the most recognizable unit, and that is the Palatine Blades. And the Palatine Blades were an elite swordsman brotherhood during the Great Crusade. They consisted of a dueling society whose ranks were made up of those who had earned Fulgrim's favor. And the Palatine Blades fought as brilliant examples of perfection in the art of war to their other members of the 3rd Legion. These warriors mostly used power swords, power lances, bolt pistols, grenades, and many of these Palatine blades would later turn into the flawless blades when they became corrupted by slaanesh. Next up, we have the Sun Killers. The Sun Killers were a heavy support squad that consisted of veteran Marines during the Great Crusade, and these warriors were armed with powerful energy-based weapons, and they actually denied the use of primitive projectile weapons like the standard heavy bolter. This elite squad was used to eliminate the largest monstrosities and war machines the enemy had to offer. The Sun Killers were also tasked with covering their battle brothers during a retreat or extraction. It's also rumored that if a Sun Killer failed or died in battle, the record would be erased. This made it seem the Sun Killers had flawless honor and nothing could tarnish that honor. This veteran squad of heavy fire support used plasma cannons, las cannons, multi-meltas, and volkite weaponry. I do wish we heard more from these guys, as it would have been nice to hear about their banter about standard projectile weapons being less than, and constantly criticizing their battle brothers. Now for this next one, we are taking to the skies, because next we are going to discuss the Wings of the Phoenician. And the Wings of the Phoenician were an elite assault marine squad during the Great Crusade. This unit of veterans were highly revered within the Emperor's Children, but sadly, this company of elite assaults were nearly all purged during Isfahan III. The few who survived became mutated and bestial, most likely some turning into warp talons, and later they became a brotherhood of raptors. These few survivors most likely also joined the Rypax cult, a raptor cult that aligned themselves with Lucius's cohort's Nausicaa warband. Sadly, there is not much on this squad of veterans even when they are brought up in the Rypax cult, and only a few of them were from the 3rd Legion, for the Rypax cult had raptors from just about any legion that would join them. Then we have the most prestigious of the 3rd Legion, the Phoenix Guard. The Phoenix Guard were personal bodyguards of their Primarch Fulgrim during the Great Crusade. These Space Marines were clad in Terminator armor, and they were always 200 Marines strong to honor the rebirth of their legion when they reunited with their Primarch, and there were only 200 remaining Emperor's Children. They did not only guard their Primarch though, and sometimes guarded high-ranking officers in the Legion, so I'm guessing Lord Commanders. The Phoenix Guard were sadly all wiped out during the battle against the Eldar craft world Ulthwé. This is also the battle where Fulgrim would fight the Avatar of Cain. But a new Phoenix Guard would be assembled and would journey with their Primarch to a meeting with Horus and to slaughter the Iron Hands Morlock Terminators during Fulgrim's failed attempt to sway Ferrus Manus to Horus' side. It is unknown if any remnants of the Phoenix Guard still serve Fulgrim since he became a demon prince. And now to their weapons. Their main weapons were the Phoenix Power Spears. The Phoenix Power Spears were also inspired by the War Spears wielded by the Custodes. And I think it's interesting that the Phoenix Guard honor the 200 survivors of the Blight, and I was hoping GW would bring these guys back for the Emperor's Children release, because I think they really needed Terminators, and I think these guys are unique compared to the other Terminators since they use the Phoenix Power Spears. And now we're going to move from the Great Crusade and pre-heresy to heresy and post-heresy era. And a lot of these squads and units coming up, they have a lot more information than pre-heresy, so it's going to be a lot more descriptive. And we're going to start with the Lord Exultant. The Lord Exultant are charismatic Chaos Lords of the Emperor's Children, sadistic strategists and skilled melee combatants. These lords of excess are easily bored with simple tasks and constantly lust for a challenge. Some Lord Exaltants have the ability to perceive minute vibrations of their foes and smell chemical elements in order to tell the direction of enemy armor or the amount of ammunition the enemy has left. Lord Exaltants use masterwork war gear, combat drugs, phoenix spears, power swords, power fists, rapture lashes, screamer pistols, plasma pistols, or bolt pistols. And I think it's cool that these guys can locate armor and locate ammo reserves or tell how much ammo the enemy has left just by smelling the chemical elements in the air is super interesting. And I hope we see more Emperor's Children get to show off other enhanced senses in the books instead of just the usual speed and reaction time increase from the drugs. Because in the Perfect Sun book, they sadly did not demonstrate this ability. And then we have the Lord Cacophonist. Lord Cacophonists are Noise Marine Chaos Lords who wield sonic weaponry. They are surgically enhanced and warped by the Empyrean, much greater than standard Noise Marines. The very armor of a Cacophonist Lord has grown the ability to distort and focus sound waves. Their doom sirens are melded to their armor and flesh, enhancing every sound the Cacophonist makes. The noise that the Cacophonists make weakens the barrier between the materium and the warp itself. And I've always thought that it was weird that the Emperor's Children didn't have any Noise Marine Chaos Lords, and I'm glad that they finally expanded upon that during the Emperor's Children release. And now we have the Cacophony, or Noise Marines. These guys are the most recognizable units in the 3rd Legion during the Heresy and post-Heresy. This unit of Marine was created early on during the Horus Heresy. The weapons used by the Noise Marines are a dark heretical fusion between Xeno, Imperial Tech, and the Warp. The first time Noise Marines were unleashed was during the Drop Site Massacre. But just to clear something up, Cacophony only refers to a Noise Marine that belongs to the Emperor's Children, while the term Noise Marines are used for both Emperor's Children and other Slaaneshi warbands. So you will only see Cacophony in the Emperor's Children. On from that, most Noise Marines have had their auditory senses horrifically modified by surgery, and this all started with Fabius Bile and was taught to other apothecary within the Legion. Some have been altered through flesh shaping or biochemical alterations from sorcery. Noise Marines tend to be mystics and believe that they are singing the song of Slaanesh, and most of them are also aloof and are not concerned with politics and infighting within a warband. These guys tend to not care about leadership and only care for the song of Slaanesh. They're also like choir singers, and the Renegade Lords of Excess book explains this really well, where a band of Noise Marines are mostly away from the main host of the Emperor's Children in a cathedral singing. Now, as for their weapons, Noise Marines use sonic weaponry by the names of the Sonic Blasters, Doom Sirens, Blast Masters, and Screamer Pistols. These weapons are known to rupture organs, armor, bones, tank armor, and even fortifications. The ammo that is used for these weapons is believed to be the screams of victims, captured demons, Eldar spirit stones, sorcerers, and possibly even Catan shards. The sonic weaponry the Noise Marines use are so unique and mysterious, and the origin story of the sonic weaponry is also really great, so please read the Fulgrim book if you want to deep dive into that. But I really want to see these sonic weaponry, the sonic weapons, used on Predators and Land Raiders and other vehicles and demon engines next. What do you guys think? And next we have the Elite Flawless Blades, and these guys are champions of the Emperor's Children and are a corrupted version of the Palatine Blades that were used during the Great Crusade era, and we previously discussed them. But these warriors pride themselves on being the most skilled within their warbands, and the journey to mastering their blades can begin from the common legionnaire to a Chaos Lord. And flawless blades are usually despised by the rest of their warband due to their arrogance and elitism. And these warriors of perfection seek not only to show off their skills to their allies, but also the demons of the warp and Slaanesh herself. And flawless blades fight for the patrons of demons and fight each other for that favor as well. And these swordsmen are excessively sadistic, psychotic, even by Emperor's Children's standards. And every flawless blade carries around masterwork weapons that are heavily customized called bliss blades. And these weapons are seen as the paragon of perfection, able to kill their foes in the least amount of strikes. And they prefer to strike a killing blow instead of swinging and hacking and slashing to defeat their enemy. The armor they wear is exotic and unique since it leaves portions of their bodies exposed. The skill of these warriors are further enhanced by none other than combat stims, of course, and they also have the warp flowing through their veins. This causes them to mutate and look similar to demons of Slaanesh. Some have hideous surgeries or bigraphs, some have reshaped limbs. There are some heavily favored flawless blades that have ethereal mantles that shield them from ranged attacks. But there are often consequences to these pacts and gifts that they make with the demons of the warp. Those who displease the patrons risk being punished in a host of different ways, like unending agony, the tearing out of their souls, the slow plucking of their identity, or an instant consumption by a swirl of fangs and claws from the immaterium. But I am just glad that there are finally some official elite swordsman Emperor's Children. Many for a long time thought post-heresy Emperor's Children were just a bunch of noise marines and the Chaos Lords were the swordsmen. The next two units are the bulk of the Emperor's Children warbands. So first, we have the Tormentors, and these guys resemble the tactical squads of the Loyalist Emperor's Children. They are a dark reflection, and these warriors are clad in power armor, obviously, and they use ornamental bolters. They specialize in ranged combat. So Tormentors see themselves as the ideal version of Space Marine nobility, though they are really self-serving and self-obsessed reavers. Tormentors are so self-absorbed, they assign themselves special missions and create objectives just to show off their skills. These ranged units are also not fond of holding ground, as they prefer to serve as shock troops who always stay on the move, obtaining new sensations. The weaponry of Tormentors are bolters, as previously mentioned, but they can also use plasma guns or meltaguns. Their squad leaders are known as obsessionists, and they use power swords or rapture lashes and a plasma pistol, even though they prefer to use ranged weaponry. Alright, on from the Tormentors, we're going to be moving on to the Infractors. The Infractors are the melee variant, and they focus on close combat, unlike Tormentors. Infractors are fueled with drugs and combat stims and seek to gain sensation by engaging in bloody and extreme battle with the enemy. Infractors tend to outright ignore objectives and instead kill, move on, and kill again. They're kind of very similar to Khorne Berserkers by the way they're described, but these bloodthirsty killers are not picky about their victims, unlike the Flawless Blades. Their monstrous egos lead them to believe the very battlefield revolves around them and is set up by Slaanesh herself. Infractors use dueling sabers and bolt pistols, and their squad leaders are the same as Tormentors, obsessionists, and they wield the same war gear as well, so power swords and rapture lashes. So a majority of people thought noise marines were the main bulk of the Legion, but now we actually have the main bulk. So this is what you're mostly going to be seeing if you were unfortunate to be facing an Emperor's Children warband. And noise marines, I guess, are more like havocs or devastators or heavies. They are the heavy support instead of the common marine. And now on to our last unit, which is actually a vehicle this time. We have the Sonic Dreadnought. Sonic Dreadnoughts are dreadnoughts that are aligned with the Chaos God Slaanesh and field sonic weaponry. These are marines that serve Slaanesh but are interred within a dreadnought, and these marines that are interred are worse than any other marine being interred. because this experience robs them of the feeling of pleasure and the pleasure of the flesh and pain in all possible sensation. Noise Marines who are willing to abandon all physical sensation upon internment can be trusted to pilot a Sonic Dreadnought without going insane. The weapons that the Sonic Dreadnoughts use are Dirge Casters and Twin-Linked Blastmasters. I would have liked to see these guys get highlighted a little bit more, maybe even a completely new model for the EC release, and just them being talked about more in Emperor's Children books. Those are the units of the Emperor's Children. Please let me know if you thought any of these special units sounded interesting to you, or if there are any units that I might have missed that you liked or favored. Would you guys like to see any pre-heresy units return in a corrupted form like the Palatine Blades and the Flawless Blades? But that's all I have for today. I do plan to move on from Emperor's Children. I feel like I don't want to give the impression that my channel is just based around the 3rd Legion, so I will be moving on to something else next, and I'm still thinking about what that will be. But thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. See ya.